Hello and welcome to another edition of SWIM, SWYM. That is the acronym for Say What You Mean. I am your host, Travis Bridges, and this is what I am going to call a special edition. I haven't been on as much as usual, but when I feel it, I just go with it. The intention of this is for therapy for me in particular, but I like to bring awareness to how we listen, hear, pay attention, and what we do with the information we gather along that way. Whether we're listening to something or actually interacting with someone, communication is very important. And there are rules to communicating, just like there are rules to life. And when we follow those rules, we are almost certain to have peace. Otherwise, when we don't follow rules and we don't show discipline and respect, we are often miserable and we create damage for ourselves as well as for those we encounter. With that being said, I have a guest that I'm going to dial up in just a few minutes. You may notice in my throat, it's a little congestion and in my head, but don't pay that any attention. I really appreciate it. So stand by. I'm going to get my guest on and we're going to go. I was going to tell you what it was.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Not bad at all. We are live, and I'm going to start the timer in a few minutes, but I'm going to share a little bit with you, as well as any new guests that might not know me, what SWIM is all about. It's SWYM. That is the acronym for Say What You Mean. It is important that we do that because oftentimes in a communication, you know this in, Psychology 101. Sometimes when you communicate, someone may not hear what you're saying or may not understand what you mean. And you may say something and may not even mean what you say or how they hear. But I am a firm believer in communication. I believe there are rules to communicating, just like there are rules to everything else. And rules are in place for a reason. They are to cut down on confusion, I guess, or to keep things organized. So, first of all, how was your day?
It's been a good day so far, thank you. And how about you?
Not bad at all. Did you understand what I just said?
How was your day so far?
No. All the other stuff. I talked about SWIM.
Oh, yes. It sounds good. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Again, no one knows. I don't mention names on purpose. It's always about the message and not necessarily the messenger. But I will say to my guests, you are someone that I hold in extreme high esteem. You're someone I deem as important. I respect you. I respect what you do. And I know many other people feel the same way. And we don't have to mention who you are, where you're from, or what you do. I would just let them know that you're just not just somebody. You are somebody. So thank you for taking your time with me. Go ahead.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for those kind words as well. It's been quite a journey to get where I am right now, and it seems like it's all paying off right now. So I'm excited to be alive right now.
Absolutely. So I told you the other day when I asked you and you agreed to do this, that it really didn't matter what the subject would be because it's about paying attention, listening, hearing, and using that information. But we are going to name a subject / topic, and it's going to be relationships and communicating. We're going to go communicating in relationships. And of course, there are different types of relationships, and we're going to cover a few in particular, but we're just going to go and see how it goes. I like your energy. I like your tone. You have one of those voices that could very well be good for radio or publication. I know you've been told that before. So I think it's going to be good. I'm ready.
And you also have an awesome voice. I got to tell you that. So yeah, kudos to you, brother.
Thank you. Well, today I will say this. I was telling my guest just before you came on that I usually don't get sick. I'm healthy and I'm strong. But the last few days I've been doing like this workout regimen twice a day. And I know me, I went a little too hard and extended myself so my resistance is low. It started out with a congestion in my head. My eyes were runny and puffy. And then a couple days later, the congestion came to my chest. And then I was talking to my son the other day and he said, "Dad, what's wrong with you?" And I said, "You like that, don't you? I sound like Barry White. Don't be jealous." So I dropped my voice. I'm aware that I'm a little nasally and my voice, but I do have some background in radio. So and I'm a production guy and voiceover talent. So thank you for that compliment. But without sounding too conceited and arrogant, I know.
Yeah, you sound very good, and I think maybe the congestion has helped you sound, like you said, a little bit lower, a little bit deeper.
Yes.
So it actually sounds fantastic.
Thank you. Okay. With that being said, I'm going to start the clock now, and I'm going to get us out just as I promised, unless I can steal some more of your time or it's necessary. So let's talk about relationships. I'm going to mention a couple things that I don't want to forget, so when I go back to them, I can be reminded. I want to talk a few words: convincing, manipulating, and persuading. Persuasion, manipulation, and convincing. There's another one. I'm missing a word, but it'll come as we start talk. So keep those in your head. And here's another set: trust, respect, and consideration. We're going to cover those. General communication. And I want to talk about process. Order and structure, along with discipline, definitely can amount to success if those things are adhered to. And the last thing that I'm going to mention, we're going to go back to those, is as it relates to relationships. We're going to start with romantic relationships, then we'll go into family and work relationships. So here we go. We're officially starting. In terms of attraction to a significant other, what's more important to you? The physical attraction or the character of the individual?
Ooh, that's a good one. The physical attraction or the character? I'm going to say the character typically wins over the physical attraction, because when you see people with a beautiful character and how they treat others and how they handle themselves, that usually just raises the attraction level. So it kind of, those people who are attractive, if they just have a nasty attitude and just a horrible way about them, that just lowers their attractiveness. So I would say, for me, the first one. What was it again now? Just remind me.
Attractiveness versus character / loyalty.
The character. Yeah, character. So I'm gonna go with character. A very beautiful character can raise your attractiveness. Put it that way.
Absolutely. And I want to respond to something you said. Usually, people that are very attractive usually don't have as much character or loyalty. And usually people that are somewhat average usually are the ones that are loyal. And when I get to heaven, that's one of those things I'm going to ask God. I'm going to say, hey man, what was that about? Why were all these beautiful, hot, sexy, attractive people such dirtbags? And why were, I know I won't say dirtbag, and then why are the people who are just plain and average looking, the ones that you can depend on, so.
My response to that would be, I think that because those who are attractive and they know it, there's a certain level of, confidence maybe, or conceitedness, or it just makes them feel like, you know what, I can get away with a little bit more than the average person. But the person that may not be as attractive, they know that they've got to work a little bit harder. And it may come naturally and it may not. But they have to spend a little bit more time working on the inner self to make up for the outward attraction.
And I will add this, just like money and power, somehow attracts corruption, I think, compliments and attention also corrupts. When you're used to someone telling you how wonderful, beautiful, and great you are, somehow or another, it goes to your head if you're not careful. That's why I believe a moral compass, people have different religions and different things they subscribe to in terms of being considerate and respectful. It definitely should start from your upbringing, your childhood. But I think we should have a moral compass, to just be decent people in general. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
Okay, we'll come back to that in a minute. But I want to talk about this other thing that I mentioned, process. We're still talking about romantic relationships or significant others. If you are, I don't know, married, for lack of a better word, or in a committed relationship, there's structure and order in that. And we're going to talk about and compare it, I guess, to work relationships. On a job, there are certain things I can do when I'm inside the office or when I'm on duty or in uniform. There's certain things I can do, certain things I can't do. There's certain things when my boss is around that I can do and say that I can't. And I think the same thing applies, in romantic relationships also. There should be structure and there should be a process and there should be a certain level of discipline. You ever been on a job and seen someone get fired? You've been working long enough to know people who have gotten fired.
Yep.
And you've been living long enough to be in relationships to see when people either break up or they get broke up with as a result of not following structure and order and discipline. So as it relates to relationships and communication, I think if you're going to be successful in either, structure, discipline, and order, is it critical or not? And explain why.
Structure, discipline, and what was the other one?
Order.
I'm going to totally agree with you as far as there has to be some type of structure, discipline, and order in pretty much everything. Relationships in particular, because it's not just you we're talking about. It's, you and another person. It's me and another person when it comes to a relationship. And especially a romantic relationship, if we're going to start there. Now, and here's where structure and order come into place. If there is no structure and order, then people can just do whatever they want. And if you're not on the same path, it could just lead to complete mayhem. And this is why communications is so important. So somebody's order may be different than your order. Somebody's structure may be different than your order. For example, there may be somebody who is interested in a one-on-one relationship, and there's no deviation from that. And on the other side, there may be somebody who is interested in some kind of open relationship, all of these different types of variations on relationships, which is not the average, but it exists. So having those type of conversations are key to know where you stand on the type of structure and the type of relationships you even want. So that's where I would start as far as structure. And then discipline. If you are on that type of one-on-one relationship, then you got to be disciplined enough to stick to that, And if you don't, then you're completely out of order. And that might not work for some people. That certainly wouldn't work for me. But, if you're of that kind that likes to be in the more variable type of relationship, which includes other people, that kind of thing, then that's normal for you. But it may not work for the person who just likes that traditional type of relationship, one-on-one. So there needs to be communication, there needs to be structure. At least for me, I like to have structure in all things that I do, whether it's relationships, whether it's my business, whether it's my workout regime. I like to have some kind of order in order for me to be successful.
And speaking of workout regimen, and before I go into that part of this, I should have established that I meant a committed relationship, because I said married, or you're moving around something, it's clicking. Are you shuffling some papers or something?
I'm sorry, yes, I just picked up a piece of paper.
Yeah. It's like I'm sensitive to sound, being an audio guy. So it's like, you just stabbed me in the ribs. Anyway, I'm a little exaggeratory. But anyway, I was talking about I wanted to make sure we were talking about committed relationships and or marriage. But you mentioned something about your being disciplined in your exercise regimen. And I like to use that because I'm a fitness buff. I always have been. And it's due to not being happy with being overweight as a child. And it's just still subconscious in my head. Even if I lose 100 pounds today, I'll still think I'm 400 pounds. I'm going to have to work on that. But my point is this. Over the past year, I've managed to take off about 50 pounds of body fat and put on about maybe 10 pounds of muscle. And I see it in my body, I see it in my clothes. You know what? There's no way I could have done that without order, structure, and discipline. My workout regimens are serious. My diet is not always the way it should be, but for the most part, there are certain things I don't do that negatively impact, the goals that I want to achieve. So regardless of how I feel or what I think, I understand what it takes in order for me to be successful and where I want to go. So there are some days I don't like myself. There are some days I don't like, the weather, or I don't like how my muscles are responding, or, a week will go by or 2 weeks and I don't see a difference in the scale based on my goals. But if I'm committed to that, how I feel is so irrelevant. So the point I wanted to make in closing on that subject has to do with order, structure, and discipline. When you have a commitment to something, your feelings are so irrelevant. And I want you to tell me your response to emotions and feelings. If you set out to do something and you don't feel like doing it a particular day and time, how negatively or how can that impact the goal?
And that's such an appropriate question right now because, it's the beginning of the year and a lot of people have committed to being more health conscious, as well as other goals that they want to set for themselves. But this is right at the beginning of the year. And it so happens that my word for this year, as well as for last year, is discipline, which is one of the words you mentioned here: structure, discipline, and order. Discipline is just so crucial to be successful in whatever you do, because your feelings don't matter. It's like when I decide that I've set myself a goal and I know I want to achieve it, I had to find this word. I had to find a word that's going to help me to stay on track. And I pulled this word at the beginning of last year. I'm like, of all the things that I want to achieve for myself, what is the thing that's going to help me to do so? It's discipline at the end of the day. Motivation is good, and
consistency
and consistency and structure and all those different things. But discipline, no matter how you feel, no matter how I feel, I know that I want to lose such and such amount of pounds at the end of my period, which was 3 months. I had to think about discipline every single day. Yeah, it might be cold outside. Yes, I may be sore because my muscles were aching, or I need to focus on some other things. But I put, and priority is also very good. But I put fitness and health as a priority, but it took the discipline to make me achieve the goal that I set out to do. So your feelings really don't matter. Your feelings really don't matter unless. Because you probably won't stick to it if you make your feelings a priority over discipline.
Right. And with that being said, if you have a commitment to something and you find yourself psychologically, mentally, or emotionally disturbed in any kind of way, you can quickly do the research without having to go sit in therapy and, call all your friends and post it on social media. If you have a commitment to anything and you find yourself not achieving that, you can always say, this is why. I wasn't disciplined here. I wasn't consistent there. And my structure was not consistent also. And I just didn't have any order. So anytime you're not happy, I'll just say that generally speaking. Right now, as I look into my monitor and I can kind of see in my peripheral in my face, if I'm not happy, it's due to something that I have I'm not doing that I said I was going to do or that I should be doing. Correct?
Yeah, and you have the control, like you said, you have the control over it. And I know for me, you just do a little bit of research and you can find exactly what you need. For example, let me just give you a quick example here. In order for me to stay on my fitness goals, I have certain things that I go to on a daily or weekly basis. For example, I'll go to a YouTube motivational talk. I'll take my walk and I'll be listening to motivation as I'm walking for that hour. I'll go to some people who are doing what I want to do. Maybe they might be on Facebook. I'll go to their pages and just check through what they're doing, see how they're handling their weight loss or their goal, and I just use them as inspiration. So I just pull from all the resources that are out there, and the internet is just such a fantastic place.
Sure.
You can find anything you want on the internet.
And with that being said, we can get the help we need if we want help. Sometimes we don't want help. We just want what feels good in the moment. So whether you reflect on yourself to see why you're disturbed, or you can go, again, therapy is always good. I recommend it. I am a firm believer in it. Or, you can just examine yourself. If you don't want to do better, then you're not going to do better. And I'm going to close on this one with that, unless you have something more to say.
Yeah,
It's not supposed to feel good. I mean, if it feels good, that's great. Sometimes when I go and I do my workouts, I hate to do it. I hate to run, but I psych myself up to actually enjoy it. But when you don't like something, and it has to be done anyway, you do it with a miserable spirit, you just make those around you bad. And it's just, you put off negative energy. But discipline doesn't always feel good. I just wanted to throw that in. You can go.
Yeah, and you mentioned something, and you have to be ready. You have to be ready, and whatever is blocking you, that has to come out of the way first in order for you to be ready. Or something drastic needs to happen in order for you to be ready. It could take various different things. For me, and I'm just sort of sticking on the whole topic of achieving a goal, which for me last year was to lose a certain amount of pounds, which I did. But before that, I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared to do the work. And then at the beginning of last year, I said, you know what? Now certain things are off my plate. I'm able to focus, and I was ready at that point, and I was able to do what I needed to do. So there's just a little bit of work as far as being ready. Not everybody's ready, and it's a tricky thing. It's just a tricky thing, I think. Definitely.
Now, I want to move on a little bit to something else I mentioned, and I'm backtracking now. Trust, respect, and consideration. Whether it's on your job, whether it's your cousin or your brother or sister, or again, in a marriage or committed relationship, trust, respect, and consideration. How important is it and why? Hold on. Let me cut you off before. I'm going to talk about job situation, and then you can go into whichever relationship you want to, and I'm going to be quick. Trust, respect, and consideration. If I work for my boss and he doesn't trust me, I probably won't work there long. If I don't respect the rules of the place, I probably won't work there long. And if I'm not considerate of my coworkers and the business that I am, representing, I'm probably not going to be a good employee. So as it relates to work relationships and trust, respect, and consideration, there's rules, there's structure, there's order, and there's discipline that I must have. When I crack that door to go to that job, my boss is expecting something from me. The people that I'm serving are expecting something from me. And my coworkers are also expecting something from me. I must show a level of order, structure, and discipline, and respect and trust in order to be a part of that operation. That was really quick. So now you can go.
Yeah, so I'll talk about this in terms of a committed relationship. Trust is paramount, It two people don't trust each other, it's just going to be so shady the whole time. It's just like, it's not even worth it. The stress that brings, it's just not
Hold
worth
on,
it.
stop for a second. Did you say stress?
Yes.
Wait, hold on. Let me
stress.
see. Hold on. Let me look up that word, stress. Okay, no, I remember what it means. Okay, you were saying that if two people don't trust each other, the stress. What about it? Go ahead.
It's not worth the stress of it all. So, you got to have trust in a committed relationship. That's just, it's almost like goes without saying, but you still got to say it, right?
Of course.
Respect. You got to respect the people that you're with, the person that you're with. If you don't respect the person that you're with, it is, it's like you almost don't want to treat them very well. So the respect has got to come both ways. You've got to respect the person that you're with, and they've got to respect you too. One of these things actually go both ways. Trust,
Sure.
respect, it needs to be both ways. And with trust and respect in a relationship, you will have such great consideration for the person. Oftentimes, you'll even put the person first when really, you should be putting yourself first. But because you trust this person and you respect them so
Wait,
much,
hold on. I don't mean to interrupt you. Hold on. We're going to talk about this. I'm going to come back to what do you mean you should put yourself first? But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. I disturbed you. You just struck a nerve, but go ahead. Because that's selfishness, right?
It can be.
Okay.
It can be, but it depends on the situation. We can come back to that.
Okay.
Putting yourself first.
Go ahead.
But I would say with the right level of trust and respect, in addition to love and everything, you are going to be considerate. You're going to consider the other person, and really just be the best person that you can be for that person. Consideration is very, very important as well. Let me just give you an example.
I like examples.
So there are certain times when you do put the other person first. Like, let's just say, for example, you're somebody in your life who is going through an illness, right? Your significant other. They're going through an illness.
Or coworker or your boss. Go ahead.
Whatever. I'm going to just stick with the significant other.
Go ahead.
And they're going through an illness, and you trust them and you respect them and you love them so much that you do end up putting them first. And this is where the consideration comes. You're considerate of them so much that you're going to end up putting them first in a situation where they are unwell. So this is where the consideration comes in. I'm trying to think of another example as far as consideration. In some relationships, a woman may be so considerate of her husband that she will always serve him first before she even serves herself. So there's just different levels to it, but consideration is just very, very important in a relationship. You always want to consider the other person, making sure that they're okay, that they're happy, that they're cared for, and if you care for your significant other, that will also care for you in return. Well, that's at least the hope.
And those are things that work out. When structure, order, and discipline is in place and is adhered to, regardless of where you are, you can find peace. Anytime there's not peace, where at work, let's just say I'm supposed to relieve my person at 7:00, and it's 7:20, and I roll up. I'm not being considerate of them, and they say, "Hey, Timmy, hey, listen, I have to go and pick up my child, and can you please not be late again?" Now, naturally, I would know that I'm affecting them, and they ask me nicely, and guess what I do? The next day I show up at 7 later, and then they keep saying to me, "Hey, listen, don't be late. You're costing me money," and I'm now they're gonna throw my child out of the daycare, and every day or every other week, every few days, I'm showing up late anyway. That's not consideration. So when you're not being considerate, respectful, and trusting, and order and discipline is not in place, you can expect What is that word we were just talking about? Stress and chaos?
Stress. Yeah.
Okay. We can move on from that. So,
Okay.
moving forward, I started out with being persuaded, being manipulated, or being convinced of something. Can you tell me your definition of manipulation and persuasion, and the difference? Tell me the difference and the definition of how you see it, manipulation and persuasion, or are they the same?
Okay. So let me talk about manipulation first of all, because this is a word that I don't like.
I don't either, but we can't hide from things we don't like. We have to discipline ourselves to talk about it.
Absolutely, and this is where I'm going to start with manipulation first. When people are trying to get their own way, and they're trying to almost use you in a deceiving way. That to me is manipulation. Let me see if I can find an example. They're trying to. I can't think of an example right now, but it doesn't feel good especially if you know that you're being manipulated, or you discover that you've been manipulated to further somebody's cause, or to help them out when they don't necessarily want to help you out, or it's just a nasty thing. So I'm not sure that I can completely describe what manipulation is, but it's not a good feeling. It's when somebody's trying to sort of get over on you, and it more benefits them than you.
Well, let me help you. Let me just interrupt for a second. You were saying you're being manipulative, or a person is being manipulative when they're not being trustworthy, respectful, or being considerate, when they're not honoring order, structure, and discipline. That's what manipulation is. It's the opposite of those things we just mentioned. But I'm sorry, I won't interrupt you again. I promise.
It's okay, but you probably will, but it's okay.
I know.
All right.
It's the nature of the beast.
Not a problem. Persuasion. Now, persuasion doesn't seem as harsh. Persuasion is, you can be persuaded to do something that you may not necessarily want to do at the beginning, but you're persuaded to do it, and as a matter of fact, it may even be beneficial to you. So let's go back to the whole working out topic. Sometimes when I'm not necessarily feeling like doing my walk or doing an exercise or whatever, I may just watch a video or watch somebody working out, or some friend of mine, and in a way it kind of persuades me, or maybe inspires me, might be a better word, but it kind of persuades me. So for example, all right, here's a better example. Let's say I wanted to go work out, and I called up my trainer the day before, and I said, you know what, I don't feel like I'm going to come back to this class anymore. And then he goes into his way of persuading me. And at the end of the day, it benefits me, and I decide to, fall into the persuasion that he's trying to work on me. And hold
on. You don't think he's manipulating you?
You just interrupted me.
I did. I'm sorry.
But that's all right. I have no problem with you interrupting me. But I don't think it's manipulation, especially if it's going to benefit me. In that case, it's persuasion, I think.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And even convincing, those two words are closely related. Mm-hmm. So if you get to the gym and you have a great workout and you leave and you're sweaty and your body's feeling good, and then you say, that trainer manipulated me. Or they convinced
that trainer
me.
Persuaded me, and they convinced me. I'd rather use those two words in that instance, because again, it benefits me. Now, if it was benefiting him alone, if it's like, all right, she's going to come to the class and it's going to make me such and such amount of money, and that's his end goal, then it might be more a manipulation. Let me throw this in a different way. I felt like this is many years ago, when I used to go to these expensive paid gyms, where you go there and they use their power of persuasion or their manipulation and their convincing ways to convince you to get into these long contracts, which they know that you're not going to follow through with. In that way, I think that's manipulation, because they're only doing it because they want to make the money to sign up these people, and they're not even healthy themselves. So in that respect, I feel like that is more manipulation.
Okay. Obviously, there's a difference in manipulating, convincing, or persuading someone. And I think in the spirit of communicating, if you and I are communicating, like we're friends, and if you tell me something, well, I don't like this, or I don't like that, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that, and I say to you, hey, listen, let me explain something to you, and I talk to you, and only 5 minutes goes by, and then at the end of the conversation, you say, oh, I see something different now. I see it differently. You have the opportunity to make a decision based on the information that was presented, because you listened, you heard, and you paid attention, and you saw it differently than what you thought or what you felt. Because sometimes all it takes is just listening. It takes paying attention. It takes using the new information you discover outside of what you preconceived inside your head, because you could be thinking or feeling or believing something without even knowing the full story. So sure, someone can manipulate, persuade, or convince you, but you have to be a person who can be manipulated or convinced or persuaded. And I'm going to say this on that, and we're going to head towards the finish line. Okay, I do not like caviar. I know it's famous, it's popular, it's expensive, and people want it, but I don't like it. Okay? You can't manipulate me, you can't convince me, nor can you persuade me to eat caviar. I'm just not gonna do it. I tried it once, I don't like it. I don't need it with lemon or hot sauce or olive oil or nothing. I cannot be convinced or persuaded because my mind is already made up. But let's just say I never tried it and you want me to share it. I could be all three. I could be manipulated, persuaded, depends on how open or closed-minded I am.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
To give your example of manipulation.
Manipulation, to me, is when you are pursuing something with malintent. When you are doing something for your own selfish gain and not the gain of the person you are manipulating. It's when you're being deceptive, when you're not being truthful, and you're using games and tactics as well as manipulation itself. That it's in its name. You know, I think a manipulative spirit is something that happens to people, you know, who are selfish and who are greedy and who don't have discipline, structure, and order, or respect, or trust. So that manipulative spirit is laced with, you know, when those other characteristics are out of order. So in closing, manipulative is malintent, due to selfishness, greed, and a lack of consideration, respect, and trust for other people or even from yourself. So how did I do on that? Could we find that same thing in the dictionary?
That should be written in the dictionary right now, right? But I wanted to add one more thing. Have you ever gotten involved in a multi-level marketing scheme?
No, because I'm the kind of person who can see that long before it starts. And I want to cuss right now, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. I can smell bull malarkey in advance. I'm just,
Right.
let me say this on this note. I'm going to be quick. And you shouldn't ask me that because now I'm getting ready to really go. I have determined and have concluded already and have accepted that I'm an overthinker. I'm a very smart and intelligent guy. I want to know the beginning, the end, the middle, the front, the back. I want to know everything in advance. And if I find you coming up short with that information, you're probably not going to get that past me. And that's the biggest problem I have had throughout my entire life. I think a lot, and sometimes maybe too much, but it keeps me safe and it keeps me protected.
Right.
So if you've got a scam or a game or you're full of crap, you're not, I'm not easily manipulated, and my niceness doesn't mean I'm stupid. Sometimes I can let someone treat me badly when I know better, because who I am is who I am, and I'm not going to not be me because you're being manipulative, or you're not disciplined, you don't have order or structure, or you can't be considerate. I will allow my time in that situation until it ends, just like those multi-level things. I've gone to the meetings, I've sat on the calls, and I let them play their course. And at the end, you know what I say? See it, wouldn't want to be it. Don't let the doorknob hit you where the good Lord be dropped. It's just my thing. So I will sit, I will be patient, I will go through the process. But at the end of the day, no, I don't get got too often.
Well, I thought that I would never get got, with an MLM, and I got some years ago, but when I think of the word manipulation, MLM comes to mind, and they have such amazing tactics for getting to people that it's kind of brilliant. But yeah, when I see the word manipulation, the first thing that comes to mind is multi-level marketing. All right, end of that.
Okay. Well, with that being said, as I said, we're going to head toward the finish line. I thank you for the time. I started doing this live stream around COVID. When COVID hit, I was playing my saxophone online, and I was putting up all of my banking information so that people could sew into me. In the first few weeks, oh man, I thought I ain't never going out in public no more if I can make this kind of, increase. But that got old really fast. People were nice and considerate, and it was exciting. But after a few weeks, it's like, okay, we heard those songs 3 weeks ago. So I decided I would, crank up my old radio skills, and I would start, talking. So I started doing this, and it's why I do it now, and it's therapy for me. I like to talk, and as you can see, I have to be better with not interrupting you. So I heard your little smart little remark. And it's not that I'm being disrespectful or disorderly or a lack of discipline. It's just I'm excited when it comes to communicating. I get excited, and I really want to. I like chiming in, and I like clarity. I don't like confusion. So if you're saying something, I want to say, well, do you mean this? Or what about this? So I do this for therapy for me. And because it's just my way. I'm a social person. As a musician, I go out and play all the time in front of people, but that's not how I get my social satisfaction. If I don't have a close friend or a relative or someone or a significant other, I'll come online and I'll invite people like you, and this is how I get my fix, because I get to talk and listen and hear, and I get to pay attention, and then I get to say, it's what I thought about her and how this is going to be from the beginning and the way it ended. I get to analyze the information that I got along the way. But this is fun. I hope we can do it again. And I appreciate you for your time. And you're a wonderful person. I love you, appreciate you. And I told you, I'm going to tell you again, we're going to do something, I'm going to say, within the first 6 months of this year. So you get ready to work with me. We're going to do something, because I know who you are. I've done my homework. And I believe what I have to offer would be great if you were involved in it. So thank you in advance.
Absolutely. And again, thank you for, inviting me on your podcast and allowing me to just, be me, just to speak freely. It's not typically what I do. I'm usually on the other end. I'm usually on the end of asking people the questions and exploring what they're doing. So it's kind of different for me, but it's nice, it's unique. And this year is going to be a year when I'm going to be stepping out a little bit more of my norm. So this is almost like one of the first, maybe the first of the year to step outside of my norm. So I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Travis.
And anytime you want me to be on your podcast, you can do so. And if it's okay, like I said, I don't mention the guest while I'm on, but if it's okay, I'll put a link to, to your information, in this, and I'll send it to you so that you can review it again too. But on that note, thanks again. I appreciate you. And I wish you an awesome year and look forward to chatting with you again soon.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Okay, ciao. Well, there you have it, my friends. Another one, just like the other one. Swim, another successful guest. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I want to say in closing, relationships are important because no man is an island. We can't just be on here. Even a baby, if you don't touch, will die. And when people are not stimulated from a social perspective, somehow it's abnormal. So we need other people. We need to communicate. And the quality of those relationships, affects the quality of our lives. When we interact with people, whether it's at work, in our families, or with our significant others, or our neighbors even, in the community, riding on the bus or in a taxi or whatnot, you have to be considerate. You have to be respectful. You have to understand what the rules are. And even if you don't feel like it, you have to be respectful of people and structure and order. If you don't have structure and order, you're going to make your life chaotic and other people's lives chaotic. And that's what I want to close with. And that, I guess, if there was any one thing I would get out of this, where there's no structure, order, or discipline, you will always find chaos and even stress. With that being said, find someone you need to say I love you to. Don't just say it. Show it, mean it, and let it be true. And even if that is not received, don't allow how someone else responds to change who you are. When you build yourself, stay true to who you are and keep being good. All right? Till the next time, take care and Happy New Year.